Hi there folks, welcome to this week's weekly outlook, weekly trade ideas. It's Monday the 22nd of February. Okay, so last week was a great week for you trend followers out there. Certainly was a great week for us as well. Markets were in a classic case of risk on and didn't really move from that stance. That basically meant that the commodity currencies were all looking quite well bid, didn't have much of a retracement or pullback at all, and the safe haven currencies like the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, the low yielders, including the US dollar, were trading to the downside. I just want to show you something that's going on in the markets at the moment when we're talking about the US dollar. Here is a chart I pulled up. Now this is the 10-year government bond chart. So it's basically the yield. It's like the interest rates that you get if you buy a US government bond. Now this is the 10-year. Back basically at the beginning of the year, these yields are trading around 0.9%. Now what's happened over the last few weeks is we've seen a big push higher in this bond yield. Bond yields now at the time of screen grabbing this was at 1.36. That's almost a 0.5% increase in interest rates. Now ordinarily high interest rates basically leads to a stronger dollar. That's basically why, or stronger currency. That's basically why we look at the economic releases throughout the trading week to give us clues on what the central bank will do with interest rates. So interest rates in the bond markets are pushing up in the US. Why does that happen? Well, because obviously if you want to invest at these higher interest rates, you need to buy those bonds. And of course, if you want to buy those bonds, you've got to buy the dollar in the first place, putting upward pressure. But this is a chart showing you the dollar index. Okay, so this is the dollar based against the 6 major currencies out there. It's called the DXY. You see, the DXY has been pretty flat, basically showing that we're not seeing the follow through in the bond markets into the strength of the US dollar. And I've actually put them here together on a chart. This is the longer term chart now. This is like the weekly chart. Here we are, bond yields at the moment. The last time we were here was basically around the sort of March 2020. You see here the US was a much higher in terms of, this is the orange line is the DXY. So the US dollar was much higher. In fact, there's about a 7 or 8% deviation from where it was last time bond yields were at these levels. So that could be a case for saying the dollar is undervalued at these levels. Certainly, we're looking at that at the moment. Maybe the dollar has got some move to the upside. Okay, let's have a quick look then what we're looking at for the week ahead. So this is our trade in the spotlight. We are selling the euro against the British pound. Now the British pound has been on a tear higher in recent weeks due to various things, but also more predominantly the vaccine rollout does seem to be affecting the belief that the UK will come out of the pandemic slowdown faster than their counterparts out there in Europe. So the pound has been strongly bought. Today we may even be seeing some easing of lockdown as well, giving further fuel to that fire that the UK is going to emerge out of this at a faster rate. So we're looking at selling the euro against buying the British pound. We made money on this last week on a few trade ideas that we put out in the trading room. Some of you may have been on it. We still are actually short that pair as well. Also looking at the UK 100, this is known as the FTSE, and we're basically looking at the FTSE being sold off at the moment. We're coming in, I don't know if you can see it on this chart here, but we're coming into this channel which could act as support. If we break lower of this channel support here, we could see a move back down to the 64,100 level. So we're looking at that as markets may be seeing taking a bit of a breather. But as we put here, beware of Boris easing measures later in the week. See how that might affect the markets. Okay, so my pick this week, I'm looking at buying the New Zealand against the Swiss franc for a number of reasons. S&P, that's the rating agency, basically upgraded the Kiwi, the New Zealand dollar, over the weekend to AA+, citing basically stronger growth. New Zealand dollar is benefiting from risk on. Risk on is when people are taking on more risk, and that's basically where we are at the moment. So New Zealand dollar has the potential to carry on pushing higher, and the Swiss franc, typically it's a safe haven currency. When markets go on risk on, the Swiss franc, low yielder, gets sold. That's just the way risk on, risk off works, follows through into the currency markets. So I'm looking at buying the New Zealand against the Swiss. Of course, if you want to discuss these opportunities, you can always come over to the trading room, as you know. Okay, Max is looking at a sell in gold. He put out a sell signal last week, did hit profit targets as well, but he's also looking at continuation of that momentum lower as well. You can come and discuss that with Max as well. He's looking for an 8 EMA gap close. It's one of his favourite forms of analysis, and he's looking at that, basically seeing gold down to 1770. And Paul this week, he's looking at a sell in the Aussie against the CAD here. He's looking at oil prices. Again, oil prices, a good barometer for the state of an economy going forward. Oil prices are high, supporting the CAD. Aussie potentially coming out of some really strong momentum to the upside. We have got RBA later on in the week, so all eyes will be on that. So that's Paul's look. Okay, this is my famous momentum meter. Basically tells me where the money is flowing in the currency markets. As I said, the commodity currencies, here you've got the Australian dollar, you've got the Canadian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, all edging higher, all north of the centre line there, all showing signs of strength. And the weak currencies, the safe haven currencies, the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc down there as well. And indeed, the US dollar, the green line there, showing some weakness as well. So maybe we're going to see some dollar strength later on in the week, but certainly we're showing weakness at the moment. And of course, the pound, the white line, is up there on its own, miles away from everywhere. The momentum taking the pound higher. Okay, so what's out this week? Well, this week is going to be dominated by central bank rate decisions and central bank speakers. Lots of central bankers out there on the wires. We've basically got the Fed chair. His name is Governor Powell. He'll be testifying later on in the week. He'll be basically giving his outlook for the economy going forward. And undoubtedly, he's going to be talking about the slowdown that we've seen in the jobs numbers over the last few weeks as well. Although they have basically pledged interest rates are going to be pretty much where they are for the foreseeable future, out to maybe 2023. But all eyes will be on Fed Chair Powell. Also, RBNZ got a rate decision out there. Again, unlikely to move interest rates, but we're interested to see what Governor Orr has got to say. Certainly, since they've had the upgrade there from the Standard & Poor's. We've also got the Australian central bank rate decision as well. Again, unlikely to move interest rates, but we always look with these rate decisions for the forward guidance, what they are thinking and so forth. And later on in the week, we've got jobless claims again out of the US. Again, an indication of how job numbers are looking. Pretty sad numbers last week on the heels of disappointing non-farm payroll the week prior. Okay, so as you know, we are streaming live around the clock. We're streaming now up to 7 times a day. Myself, Paul, Mark and Max, looking for trading opportunities for the week ahead. If you want to come over to the site, you can do. I think there's a link here below as well. You can take you straight into the site. I think there's even a trial as well, 7-day trial or so forth. You can talk to us direct. It's like having a private mentor on your shoulder throughout the trading day. If you don't, then that's no problem. I will see you next week, same time. Have a good week.